My mom and my dad were not here. Anyway, they met in outside of St. Louis, and they were kind of young, and you know what young people do. So they started to date, and they were dating around and so forth. And then the big moment came, and my mom invited my dad long before they were married. They just started dating, as a matter of fact, to come to her mother's house in Webster Grove, 60 North Maple Land, right? And have dinner. And then my mom, in her own way, said, "But Bill, my mom is really nice, but she's kind of particular. And she likes everybody to eat everything that is served to them. Everything, Bill. Got it, Bill? You got it, Bill?" And he said, "Of course, I got it." So here comes this wonderful dinner, and he ate the whole thing, and it was wonderful, and he almost licked the plate, you know. You can imagine, you know what he was doing. Anyway, pressing my mom. But anyway, so he licked the plate, and the dinner was gone, and they served dessert. Well, unfortunately, the dessert was pieces of fresh pineapple. So he started eating the pineapple. And, you know, everybody was talking and so forth and so on, and he was eating away on the pineapple. And my mother turned around to my father and looked at his dessert plate, and there was nothing on the dessert plate. He had eaten the whole pineapple. Body, corn, all gone down. And she said, "He looked a little funny." He was kind of like this, you know. But he ate the whole thing. And I'll tell you, Money was so impressed. This guy would eat a whole pineapple. He said, "Okay, you can have it." You have a story?
Well, actually, no. I asked Joady 2 questions, and I'm sorry that the taping was supposed to be subtle, and anyway, but that's okay. So, I asked Joady if she knew how her parents met, and if she didn't, I would like to know how she met Gemma, because I don't know.
Yeah.
So, either or both.
Well, I only know that my parents met in St. Louis. My mother was working as a librarian, and my father had already started his postgraduate studies, I think. I'm not quite sure. So that's where they met. And I inherited a letter from my mother's sister about 5 years ago. She sent me all the letters that she'd ever gotten from my mother. And one of them is a 5-page letter saying, "I've met this guy." So, but she didn't say how or when or what. She just spilled 5 pages, "I've met this guy."
But you didn't bring the letter?
Sorry, I didn't bring the letter.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
That's a secret sometimes. But Bob was a guy.
Yeah. So maybe somebody else knows more about this.
Does anybody know? No. Would you tell us how you met? How you met Gemma?
Yeah, all right. My first boyfriend, I wasn't common.
Now talk about Gamma. Not your first boyfriend. I want to hear about your first boyfriend.
Because then I met Gamma. That's the only thing that's important about it. Anyway, he lived down the street in Formentera. His family had a house there, and we spent the summers there, and we met and fell in love. And I went back to Barcelona to keep on studying music, and he went to Switzerland. And I went to a concert, and there was a wonderful person playing the flute. And in the concert booklet said he was teaching about 20 miles away from where my boyfriend was living. So I wrote my boyfriend a letter saying, "I'm coming." So I did. And then he took me out somewhere nearby for supper, and we were walking through the streets of this beautiful town, and suddenly somebody came round the corner and said, "Oh, Serenade, how are you? This is your new girlfriend." And I couldn't understand a word of German. So they took me out to have supper and eat, of course, because it was in Switzerland. It was fondue.
Oh, cheese fondue.
And there were about 5 men around, all making fun of me, making me try to say things in Swiss German, which is a very strange language. And I noticed one of the 5 was very, very quiet, just sitting in the corner of the sofa, looking at his brother, looking at Severin, and frowning and everything, but he didn't say anything. And then the evening was over, I didn't see them again, and my boyfriend, about a month later, said, "Oh, you've come to Switzerland, I'm going to Canada." So we went to Canada, and I got a job in Switzerland, and I was wandering around one of those little villages, and I suddenly saw this very quiet man that had spent the whole evening sitting in the other part of the sofa and being quiet, and I introduced myself again, and one of the first things he said, "You know, that was a horrible evening. I felt so sorry for you.